So what's the difference between a solid state drive and a standard hard disk drive like this one here? Well, stay tuned and we'll go over the differences between the two, and as well talk about the ways you can maybe upgrade to a solid state drive, or if a solid state drive is right for you. So several years ago, the solid state technology came out, and solid state drives became, something that could be installed in a computer. But when they first came out, they were extremely expensive, and they weren't really mainstream or a consumer type product that anyone could afford. But within the past couple years, even in the past year, solid state drives have really become an affordable thing. But yet, I still don't see them being used in new computer products that are coming out. You see them sometimes in high-end and expensive laptops and in tablets, but not in desktops and maybe some lower-end laptops. So the core difference between a hard disk drive and a solid-state drive is that a hard disk drive contains a magnetic plate or magnetic plates, and a head has to go across those plates as the plates are spinning at between 4,800 and 7,200 RPMs, has to read off the magnetic information of whether it's a 0 or a 1. And the new solid state technology is a computer chip that has flash memory on it. And flash memory is basically just chips on a circuit board, and the data is just requested and it's pulled back out. And so we really notice the difference between a solid state and a hard drive is when you're requesting a bunch of little pieces of data off the drive at once. So in the mechanical device, the head has to search, and the plate has to spin in a way that the head can read the data off of the plate. And so this can get time consuming if you're getting little pieces of data all over the place, or even if you're just turning on your computer and it has to boot up several thousand different files. On a solid state drive, all the files are able to be accessed at the same time, or not necessarily at the same time, there's a limit on how much data can come through, but they can all be accessed without that delay of waiting on physical hardware to move to the data. They can just be acquired instantly. And so, one question would be, well, why are all computers not using solid-state drives? Because wouldn't that make them all faster? Well, solid-state drives are still more expensive, and they are definitely more expensive if you need high capacities. So often nowadays, if you go out and buy a new computer, it's going to come with a 500 gig or a 1 terabyte hard drive. Which is more space than most people will ever use, unless you're doing a lot of things with a lot of music or pictures or video, especially video. But otherwise, a solid-state drive may be the better option, because a solid-state drive is going to allow your computer to turn on faster, it's going to allow for programs to open faster, and just overall help the general performance of your computer. Often, a computer with a mechanical hard drive, if the virus scan is currently running, or you have an update running in the background, your computer slows way down, and that's because the drive can only do one thing at a time. And so it's trying to run and access these updates on the drive, but then also trying to access the things that you're doing. And so when it kind of has to do these two things at the same time, it has to continue to divide its tasks, where a solid-state drive does a lot better job at just immediately being able to return the files and not be bogged down by files being in different places. Now this brings up another point. Defragmentation is maybe something you've heard of, something that has been said that you need to do all the time, and if you're running on a hard disk drive, that is absolutely something that should be done at least once a week. And if you're running Windows 7 or newer, it should be scheduled already to run that once a week. And what defragmentation does is it takes all the fragments of the files that maybe have been saved in different parts of your computer, and it gets them arranged all in one nice line so that the drive can actually read it faster and doesn't have to jump around. Now on solid-state drives, we don't have that issue. It doesn't matter where your data's at. The drive is able to access it all just as fast as if no matter where it is. Doesn't matter what memory cell it's in, the drive just knows, hey, here's where it's at, and I can grab it immediately. And that's where solid-state drives also take on, is that they don't need defragmented. Actually, if you do, you can shorten the life of them. And if you're running Windows 7 or newer, the operating system shouldn't even let you defrag, or will not defrag it automatically, and you shouldn't do it manually. So at the end of the day, the difference between them are core different technologies. Hard disk drives use magnetic plates with a head that has to go similar to like a record player, and it actually has to be physically where the data is at, and it's kind of only access one piece of data at a time. Where solid state drives really take advantage of is that it's all in memory chips, and the controller of that solid state drive can access all that memory at the same time. So should you use a solid state drive in your computer? Well, the first thing is, are you able to upgrade your computer yourself, or would you have to get somebody to do that for you? So cost can come into a factor there. The other question could be, are you running a laptop that can only hold one drive, and how much storage do you need? Is 128 gigs of storage enough? Is 256 gigs of storage enough, or do you need more? And so if you don't need a lot of storage and you just use your laptop primarily for web browsing and some basic items, then a solid state drive may be a perfect match, because it's optimized for performance, it's optimized for running applications, fast web browsing, all those things, and you don't necessarily need a lot of storage. But if you do need a lot of storage and you only have one drive, then a hard disk drive is probably still your best bet, because you're going to get those larger storage amounts at decent costs. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't go buy a 1 terabyte solid state drive. Just be ready for it to cost you, $500 or $600 just for the drive. If you have the ability to have more than one drive in your computer, then you can simply purchase a solid state drive, buy the adapter if needed if you're putting it into a desktop, and you can install Windows on that new solid state drive. And then once that operating system is installed there, you can still access all your files on your original hard disk drive. Now, it is a little bit of an advanced process of setting up your operating system again and getting that configured, but I think it's worth it. It's something I've been doing on my own computers and computers that I get the opportunity to look at and to repair, of recommending the solid state drives, because I know the performance is going to be much better. So if you're tired of your computer slowing down and getting bogged down because of updates or because of a program you installed and it just feels to get slower and slower and slower, a solid state drive really helps fix that. I do have links in the video description for some solid state drives that I would recommend depending on the size that you need. So check out those links to get some prices on solid state drives that maybe you can swap out for yourself. So that's my video on solid state drives versus hard disk drives. Thank you for watching.